absolute chaos has unfolded at the COP30 summit in Brazil. They have had indigenous protesters storming the venue, clashing with the security. Let's take a little clip of this absolute bedlam. That's one of the security that got hurt in this ordeal. Being wheeled away. Absolutely crazy situation. Let's take a look at a couple more of the photographs. So that's that security guard I think you saw being wheeled away there. He got a cut and a big bump on the head. And I mean, look at this. You've got someone's picked up, it looks like part of a table with a huge metal leg, using that as some sort of weapon. These people are not happy at all. Now, you might wonder, why are they protesting at COP30? And essentially, you've got indigenous populations. Let's not forget that they, in case you've been living under a rock and are not aware, they've basically cut down half of the Amazon rainforest to build a huge highway for all of these, all of these privileged presidents, climate delegates and whatever you want to call them, these champagne socialists, to be able to travel to this event in Brazil. They've all flown in on private jets. We've heard that Keir Starmer has sent, I believe it's 462 or at least 400 and something staff over to this event, a huge number of air miles consequently. But who did they not bother to invite to have a say on what happens with the Amazon rainforest and the climate around them? Well, it's the indigenous population that live in the Amazon. I mean, you'd think that is one group that deserves to have a say, but they haven't bothered to invite them because they want it to be a load of champagne socialists and delegates from Europe and whatnot. We've got a couple of quotes here in the Telegraph. "They cannot decide for us without us," the protesters chanted angrily as they demanded access to the compound. Others carried flags and signs declaring, "Our land is not for sale." There have been growing tensions over the lack of involvement of indigenous people in the conference taking place in a city known as the Gateway to the Amazon. I mean, you hold it in a place known as the Gateway to the Amazon, but you don't invite any of the people that live in the Amazon. And as I say, they cut down a load of the Amazon rainforest just for this event, and everyone flew in on their private jets. Well, I'm joined with Samiksha to discuss this madness. I mean, Samiksha, are you on side with these protesters, or do you think they've gotten out of hand?
Well, I do think that they have gone out of hand. I mean, you have to remember that this is complete lawlessness and there was a physical assault. They did breach a secure UN zone and, one guard was reportedly struck in the head with a drumstick. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, violence is never really acceptable. But the fact is that this has shown us that for 30 years, the climate movement has demanded this moral authority. But they haven't even managed to invite the people who are actually living in this rainforest, as you've said. And the fact that people are resorting to this violence proves that the entire global process of COP is so broken, so unresponsive, and it's just full of a bunch of presidents jetting around in their private jets, not actually talking about the environment. I mean, obviously, the environment is a really important issue. Nobody wants to see, litter being chucked around everywhere and a bunch of trees being cut down. But the fact is that the cause has been completely hijacked by the left, essentially, in order to make it a complete joke at times, really. So the COP process is a complete monumental failure. And yeah, I mean, it's just so funny, really, to see it from the sidelines and see all of these leaders come together discussing the environment that they're claiming to protect, whilst actually gatekeeping it to the people who seem like they actually do care about their home being completely destroyed.
Why do you think that the UN and all of the countries and their delegates that attend these events, why do you think they bother with what is a very expensive event to run, I would imagine, if they don't really care about the environment? Or maybe you think that they do care, but they're going about it the wrong way. Let me know what you think.
Well, it's hard to tell whether they do care because they're all politicians. And there's the lack of trust in politicians is at an all-time high. People generally do not really want to hear what they want to say. So even if they do want to, let's take this with a pinch of salt, but they do want to, take care of the environment and do something actually good, people aren't really going to believe them. And the fact is that they're doing it because they want to look good. They think that, oh, well, this climate protesting is really trendy, really fashionable, might get me some votes from Gen Z and the younger population. Let's go and do these summits while actually ignoring the real environmental activism, which is stuff like, teaching people not to litter, respecting trees and stuff like that, and COP really does not highlight the actual environmental grassroots movement, which should be bipartisan. The environment is in danger because of the fact that we have things like these big events like COP cutting down half the rainforest in order to host this event. It's complete hypocrisy.
Yeah, I know hypocrisy is definitely the word that I would use. I mean, the whole thing just reeks of hypocrisy for me. I just don't know how on earth you can call yourself an environmentalist if you're going on a private jet to the other side of the world for some climate conference. You guys could have spoke on Zoom. And the funny thing is that the 462 odd staff that Keir Starmer has sent over there, I bet you when they're working back in the UK, they probably work from home. But for this, they had to get on a jet for it, and they couldn't just do it on Zoom. So I think hypocrisy is huge. Now, I think one thing I've noticed is that this hasn't been, other than the clips of the violent clashes at the conference, talk about COP30 generally hasn't really been in the news. People don't really seem that interested about what is going on. It used to be the case that these COP conferences were much more you'd see a lot more about it and what is being discussed, and also people are certainly starting to realise in the UK that net zero is actually costing them money. I think a lot of people were excited about the idea of net zero because most people do care about the environment. They like the idea of cleaner energy, and they were told that this is going to be cheaper, but now they're seeing bills going up and up and up, and no sign of them coming down by 300 quid as was promised. It's massively harming the economy, and people are thinking, well, we've cut our emissions down quite a lot in this country. Whatever we do is just going to be a tiny drop in the ocean compared to all the fumes that China is pumping into the air. Why do we keep impoverishing ourselves? But on the other hand, it seems like there's a shift away from net zero and wanting the UK to take big active measures towards it. But on the other hand, the Green Party is starting to storm ahead in the polls, partly because of Starmer's massive unpopularity. But I'm just interested to hear from you, Samiksha. Do you think that at the next general election, do you think that climate action is going to be a big part of it, given the Green Party's rise? Or do you think people are starting to get a bit sick of talk of net zero because of the cost it is causing to our energy bills and to the economy in general?
Yeah, I do think that people are definitely getting sick of climate activism. I mean, there was a time when, we had Extinction Rebellion, we used to have Just Stop Oil, and they were completely disbanded. The policies required for net zero are completely unpopular. 70% of Brits oppose new taxes on gas bills to enforce the switch from gas to electricity. Net zero would cost us £40 billion a year. Who pays for that? We do. Nobody really wants to be able to shoulder the cost of shifting to net zero. And the fact is that even if we did achieve net zero, it would make virtually no difference to global emissions. Because the fact is that even if we stopped tomorrow, countries like China are going to continue emitting. We make absolutely no difference to the global emission system. So the fact is, people are going to lose interest. People have already lost interest. And the only reason why the Green Party are currently riding high in the polls is not because of the environment, but because of other socialist policies like transgenderism, like general socialist policies like taxing the rich and all of that. You still see that university activism amongst students, I would know. So yeah, I mean, I do think that the Green Party, even though they've got green in the name, it is not necessarily about the environment anymore. It's about a broader socialist movement, because the fact is that the environment has kind of taken the backseat.
Yeah, it's interesting how the Green Party is not really that focused on the environment anymore. Maybe more focused on issues like Gaza, for example. And apparently they're banning TERFs, and they want to ban landlords as well. So all sorts. It's very socialist. But yeah, inevitably they're going to not ride higher in the polls than Labour, but start creeping towards it, especially after the budget, because Labour are going down and down in popularity very quickly. Anyway, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Samiksha, thank you very much for joining us. Brilliant as always. If you look up Samiksha's State of the Debate on YouTube and other platforms, you will find her there. Thanks, everyone.